And they're like, okay, keep going, And so there was very, very far in between. There was some people that did really look out for me. If not, if not, I probably wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have came home.
So
There was
did your family ever visit you, your mom or your grandma visit you during this whole 20-year
my
time period?
grandma. My grandma got denied for 21 years her visiting forms. I didn't see my grandma the whole time. She's 85 now and she's still alive. She used to tell me on the phone, I, mijo, I didn't raise you like that. I didn't raise you like this. And you have to come home. I don't want to die till you come home. I don't want to die with you in there. And, that's hard. That was hard. That's heavy on my heart. I carried that with me. There was a lot of good decisions I made because that helped me weigh, the consequences. Um, but my grandma was not allowed to visit me. She picked me up from prison, though. Picked me up from Soledad
No.
prison.
Why did they deny her?
They said because she wasn't being honest in the visiting form. She she had got her son, my uncle, was getting beat up by the police that came to the police were always at our house. Police came to our house one day. There was some domestic violence going on. They When they finally got my uncle to come out of the house, they beat him up in the front yard. My grandma went out there and was trying to pull the police off of him.
Mm.
They arrested her. So because she didn't put that in the thing, they kept denying her. My mother, because of the history, like with the drug and me going to CPS and all that, she had a long history. They denied her for almost 8 years. So she couldn't visit me for my pretty much my first 8 years. And but she went to visit me the whole 21 years. She would go pick up my daughter. She would pick up my daughter's mother with her so that they could walk in so I could have a relationship with my daughter. And she would wait outside of the prison and so that I could have a relationship with
Mm.
my daughter. And it's funny. It's funny how things happen, right? I'm working with youth in prison. I'm in Corcoran prison on a level 4 doing youth diversion. One day, ABC News gets invited to come in and do this story, and the Fresno Bee newspaper. So they mic me up. I have kids there. Well, when the media comes, so does all the people in the offices. Some of them I never seen in my life. So we're kids show up. There's two wardens in there. One from the old Corcoran, one from New Corcoran. There's all these administrative people in there. Capped everybody's all suits, ties, and
Mm-hmm.
this is our program, and look what we're doing. Community taking all the PR, right? And I'm mic'd up, and they're asking me, reporters asking me questions, and I'm hyping up the program so that we could get more kids in there. And the warden comes and tells me, Gilbert, if there's ever anything I can do for you, you let me know. And I told him, Warden, you know what? Approve my mom to let me visit her.
Mm.
He said, well, what's going on? I said, well, she been sending visiting forms, letters to you, and you just get denied, like rubber stamp, denied, 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 no explanation. And he goes, well, why do you think they're denying her? Right? Well, my mom has a history with drugs and incarceration, but my mom's a drug and alcohol counselor in the South Side of Chicago, working with kids, working with people out there. She's been doing it for a long time. She comes out here from Chicago and to LA and drives wherever prison I'm at so I can see my daughter. Just let her in, man. I want to see my mom. And he said, have her write a letter directly to me and I'll approve the visit. Within about a month, my mom's coming to visit me.
Wow. Your mom
So
was coming from Chicago?
from Chicago, my mom visited me for almost the whole 21 years. My mom was coming, but like I said, she had to wait outside for the first 8 years. But she drove, well, she flew out here from Chicago to LA, picked up my daughter, drive sometimes 8.5 hours to the prison, and wait outside. Not even get to see me. Drive all the way home, get in the plane, go
Go
back to
back.
Chicago. You know how expensive that is?
Yes, I do.
My mom did that the whole time,
Oh
and she
my
always
God.
always made sure that I had money on my books to buy soap and a toothbrush and deodorant and some soup. So those days I didn't, just some days the food is unbearable. And I used to tell my mom, like, you don't have to do this. I felt bad like that. I felt so much guilt, and shame. Like, I'm a grown man and my mommy's taking care of me. And my mom was like, no, I'm not gonna leave you in there like that. Like that's not right. You're down, we're gonna help you. As long
And
as you
she
do
had
good.
been there herself, so she knew what it was like.
Yeah, my mom was number one. She stayed behind my back though, wrote me letters every month and visit me, sometimes twice a year, at least once a year my mom came to visit me. She would have came more often, but I used to tell her, Mom, don't come. Why? I want to see you. And I'm like, don't come, Mom. It's too expensive. Like that. Or sometimes she would come all the way and we're locked down and I gotta go
Then you
behind
got to go back.
or no visit.
So she had to go back after flying in.
Oh, my mom's pretty, my mom's old school, she's gangster, so she ain't taking no for that. I remember one time we went on lockdown at Soledad prison. The whole prison had nothing to do with me. There was like a little melee on the yard. Um, maybe 10 on 10. And the next day, it was like on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, visits, everything shut down. We were slammed down. I'm in the South. And I'm like, oh no, I can't even call home to tell them don't come. And that morning, Saturday morning, I told the floor officer, hey, I got a visit coming. Are they gonna let me go? She said, no, no visits. And I was like, man, excuse me. So I got my clothes ready. I got all ready for the visit. And I said, you never know. But I had pretty much, chopped it up because there's no visit. And all of a sudden, the police come to my door. They knock on my door and I said, Gilbert, I don't know how you did it. You are going to be the only one on this yard going to visit today. And I was like, they said, but you have to wear this jumpsuit and you're going in cuffs. I said, man, I don't care. Go. So I put on this white jumpsuit. They cuffed me up and they walked me all the way to the visiting room. They put me behind glass. And my mom walks in and she's mad. My mom's there with my daughter. They're like, you know how long we've been out there in line? They were telling me. So my mom, back then, you had to call and get an appointment. My mom called the prison, talked to the lieutenant, the visiting lieutenant, and said, I'm coming from Chicago. I don't want my visit to get canceled because, if the visiting rooms get too packed, they go in there and start, hey, your visit's canceled. You got to leave. Your visitor got to leave. So my mom, if you come from over 200 miles, they're not supposed to do it. If you come from out of state, you're over 200 miles. So my mom used to call and say, I'm coming out of state. I haven't been there in a year. I don't want my visit to get canceled. Am I good to go? Yes. If you have any problems, here's my number. You call me. So the lieutenant gave her the number. My mom gets to the front. They don't want to let her in. She says, the lieutenant told me that if anything happened, that I'm to call him. I want you to call the lieutenant or I'm going to go back outside and call him on my phone. So they call the visiting lieutenant, goes over there and he's like, man, they're locked down. I can't let you visit. She goes, you told me. And he had told her, if anything happens, I'll call you and let you know the visit's got, there's no visit.
And then he didn't call her.
I don't think he calculated that this can happen. So he said, I'm sorry I told you that, but you can't come in. She said, I'm not leaving, man. You're going to let me see my son. So he's like, look, do you have the stub from the plane in the hotel? Yes. All right, let me see it. And he got it. Went to whoever he had to go, the captain probably. And they said, bring him, and, put him behind glass with a white jumpsuit. And I got, probably about a good 5-6 hour visit that day.
Oh, wow.
But they couldn't come back the next day. But that's how much my mom, what she did, man, what she did for me. My mom did the time with me there the whole time. My daughter, my grandma, everybody, my family. My family paid a lot behind on my decision making. I came home, I lost one of my brothers. One of my brothers got killed by the police 1 year before I came home. So that was, that's still affecting my family to this day. And, my brother was a gang member. Like, I'm the oldest one. I was supposed to protect them. I was supposed to be the good example. I was supposed to be the role model. So
But there's so much responsibility placed on kids. You were a kid, you know what
mhm,
I mean?
yeah,
And even though you had younger siblings, you're not the adult.
yeah,
You know, that wasn't your job, but that's kind of the environment that so many find themselves in. They become the parent
yeah,
to their younger siblings because the parents aren't being parents.
yeah. Especially like people that come from our backgrounds. There's that's the way we get taught, man. When you come from those, the socioeconomic status, when you come from those certain geographical areas, like that's where you're taught. Like you take care of your sister and your brothers at all means necessary. You make sure that if you gotta do wrong, you do wrong. If they're hungry, you go do what you gotta do. You won't be in trouble if you do that. But I mean, I still got in trouble, but yeah, I still got in trouble. But that was ingrained. And watching, when I was a kid, watching my sister and my brother's dad like beat up my mom, like a man, beat her like a man. It was like me having to remove my sister out of the room. My brothers are crying. It's like I can't cry. I can't be like sit in the corner and just be an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old, whatever age I was. Like I gotta get them to safety. I gotta go peel this guy off my mom. I gotta go comfort my mom. I gotta wait. Sometimes the ambulance get there, the police get there, and then I gotta go. I'm carrying my little brother, pushing the stroller. We didn't have a car. My mom didn't have a car till I was in my 20s.
Wow.
We went on the bus. We went on the RTD, man, the rough,
Yeah.
tough dangerous LA.
Or rough, tough, and dirty. That's what we used to
Yeah.
say.
We went everywhere on the bus, and there was 4 kids. We lived on welfare and we were poor. We all got our haircuts at the barber college. When we got a pair of shoes, everybody got one the same day, and they were the same. It was the same. You're not gonna fight over shoes. It was like always. That's the way we live. And when things happen, you know how to deal with them. And I knew how to deal with it when when I had contact with the police, when I had contact with the system. Like even though I'm a kid, I knew how to deal with it. And I'm talking when I say deal with it, I knew how to deal with it in an unhealthy way.
Yeah.
I knew how to protect. I knew how to protect the life. I knew how to protect. So because when I lived with my grandma, I didn't have no other like there was nowhere else for me to go. So if I go in there and tell them, oh man, there's alcohol, man. When they party at my house, my mom's
Yeah.
not supposed to be there. Like my mom she's not clean, man. My mom's not supposed to be in the house living. My mom, she had nowhere to go. My grandma's not going to tell her no. She got to live there. So when the social workers come, whoever came to my house, it was like, hey, have you seen your mom? Nah, I haven't seen her. My mom lives here. But
Right.
I'm lying. I'm doing all this stuff, and if I tell them the truth, where do I go?
Right.
I'm going back to MacLaren. Oh hell no! Going there, right? Hell no, man. I'm not going back, man. I'm not gonna tell on my family. I'm not a snitch. I'm like that's the way I thought. So when I went to the streets, when I went to the institution, when I went to incarceration, like that belief system, it fit perfect. I
Mm.
I fit right in, man. It was I didn't have those kind of problems. I did good when I was incarcerated. Outside of when I started doing right, like I had to walk away from a lot of things that were my safety net.
And I was just about to ask, so how was that coming home? And now, okay, you're clean, you have a different mindset behind the wall anyway. So when you
Yeah,
come out, were you able to keep that focus? Or did you have to kind of like make some adjustments here and there because those old things started coming back?
there's there's definitely adjustments all the time. It's, what I thought life was gonna be like out here, it doesn't match. It
Mm.
didn't. Um, I wanted my family to all like be together like it was at one time. I wanted everybody like on Christmas go to my grandma's. I wanted everybody to be cool, but it's not. It's not like that out here. Everybody got old on me. Everybody got older. They have their own families. Um, when they, my sister, like she has her kids, they have kids, like they do Christmas together. My brother does his, like everybody's on their own. And I'm like, where's everybody at? Like, why doesn't everybody come around? Why don't we, like, I used to go hang out with them at their house. It's just not like that, I probably go visit more people than they visit me, and I don't,
they've moved on
they
and
moved on.
and
Like,
however they're dealing with their trauma is
yeah,
how they're dealing with it,
and trauma, again, it shows up, it's like I still get frustrated, I still get angry, I still get hurt. Like what I do with it today is a lot different than what I did with it in the past. Like I'm not fixed, I'm not perfect, but I'm not where I was. And as long as I keep moving forward, then I know I'm doing good. I'm on the right path at least. I could recognize the signs, and that's a good thing. I got married since I came home. I'm a homeowner now. I went back to work in the prison. I work at the crisis unit in mental health downtown San Bernardino. Um, I go, man, I go out there and march. Police kill somebody in the communities out there. I suit up, put on my boots. I go out there and I march. I go out there and march with my peoples. I go out there and I just support the families. I go out there and tell them, like, whatever you need, man. You need to cook, you need to clean your yard, whatever you need, we're here. Because I know how hard it is. Um, I've been speaking in schools, talked to kids. I've spoken in colleges. I've talked to students in colleges for some of the administrative people in the prison who are helping me in there. They're now one lady that helped me a lot in there. She's a professor now at a university, and she teaches criminology. So, I was able to go and talk to her class, and so yeah, I think those things, what I was doing in prison, I'm doing out here. I just get to do more, and there's less shackles on my feet.
And you're getting paid, I hope.
Yeah, I get paid. I get paid pretty good,
Yeah.
I get to live out here. I live in a nice area. The police don't. I don't gotta worry. I don't worry about the police putting me on the hood and like out here. It's just not like that out here where I live. The police different, and that's another awakening. I'm like, dude, they do not police like this. Like,
stay out that way.
yeah, because if I'm in LA, like I have to teach people that are with me that don't know. My wife does not know that lifestyle. When I first got out and I was on parole, and even now, I tell them, look, if I get pulled over, do not get scared because they're gonna run my name. All kind of stuff's gonna pop up in their computer. They're gonna put me in cuffs, more than likely, and put me in the back of the car until they check. They're probably gonna search my car, search me, make sure I'm clean, and I'm not wanted by no kind of institution.
No warrants or anything.
No warrants or nothing. And once they figure all that out, and the way I know how to communicate, they're gonna let me go. Unless they just totally go rogue and pin me up on something. If they're gonna do that, it don't matter where I'm at. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it because they want to do it. But outside of that, do not be scared. If they put me out at gunpoint, like I'm preparing people to deal with that because when they pull over, and I know what to do. I'm not gonna get killed out here on the street. I survived some of the worst conditions a human can live in to come home. Some trigger happy cop, to once he sees my name or something and he's drawing down, I make the wrong move and I'm done, I'm gone. That's how easy it is.
Yeah.
And I have to teach, my daughter grew up like that, but I still have to tell her, you get pulled over, you have to, you're gonna have to act a lot different. I get pulled over out here where I live, it ain't like that. They don't do it like that. I'm not saying that out here they're right and out there they're wrong. Police community is different.
Yeah.
When I get pulled over in LA, I'm gonna get put either in back of a cop car or I'm gonna be put on the curb. Yeah. On the curb. And there's gonna be like 10 cop cars gonna show up, a helicopter, until they get waved off. Out here, a cop car pull me over, might be one cop, might be two. That's they'll run my name.
But the fact that why are you even getting pulled over, period, though?
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like out here, they're not driving around like looking to pull people over. Or, before I walk down the street, I would be clean. I had no drugs on me, no weapons. I'm not wanted or nothing. I walk down the street, as soon as the cops are in the corner, I'm running. And they used to tell me, "Why are you running?" You know, when they catch me or somebody I'm with, "Why are you running? You don't got nothing." I was like, because they always take, they take me over to my enemies, man, or they're gonna start slamming me on the floor. And I went to jail and pleaded guilty for crimes I didn't do.
Wow.
I got arrested one time for a bottle of PCP that they found in a yard. The cops in the corner, I walked. I started walking down the street. Everybody else took out running. I walked down the street. They didn't catch nobody else. They grabbed me, put me in a cop car, and then searched the area and said, "I seen you throw this." And I was like, "Then fingerprint it. If I threw it, my prints are on it. They're all, I don't need a fingerprint it. I seen you throw it. That's all I got to put in the report." And I was like, whatever. I went to Alley County Jail. I get to court, and the public defender says they're offering you a deal. Take a possession. You'll do, I think, 27 days. You won't even do the whole time. And you walk out of here. If not, we set trial. You could be here for about a year and a half.
Waiting
I'm like,
for the
I'm in
trial.
county jail right out of youth authority. I was like, hell no, here, bro. I'll take the deal. The deal was sweeter than the consequences of me fighting it. That's how bad it was, and I walked. I think I stayed, I don't know, 12 days or
But
17
then you
days.
got more charges on your record,
Yep,
another conviction.
yep. Of something I didn't even do. I would say that's one thing I didn't do. That's one of the few. I mean, like I said, what I went to prison for, it was the charges could have been different, right? They didn't have to charge me with attempted murder. And you know what the cold thing was, man? In the end, and I got to go full circle with this. I got the picture to prove it too. So I went to children's court when it was in downtown. It was no children's court. It was in a criminal court building, right off 6th Street. And that's where I went to court when I was a kid. I hated that court. You know how much school I missed going to court? Then years later, that's the court I got found guilty and sentenced at as an adult. Same court building. One day I'm out, I came home and I'm in downtown LA with my wife, and we're driving down the street. We're going somewhere totally wasn't out of my mind. I'm driving down the street, and all of a sudden the court building's right there. And we're at a red light, and I'm like, "Give me my phone, turn it on." She's like, "For what?" And I was like, it went full circle. And I was like, "This is the courthouse. I'm in front of the courthouse." Like, these guys told me I would never get out. Told me you'll never get out. And this is the place I used to go when I was a kid to court, like, for my mom, for my sister and my brothers. Like, there was so much family feud fighting in children's court. It was like they just made, like, we witnessed everything. Like, I don't have beef with these adults. Like,
Right.
I'm not mad at my mom. Why like everybody's talking bad about my mom?
Now, why did your mom move to Chicago?
When I got sentenced, she lost it. And my brother went to prison, got 14 years. A year later, I got arrested and I got life. And then my middle brother went to prison. All three of her sons were in prison.
Wow.
And my mom was like, my mom told me, came to visit, not like visit, but like through the phone. And she was like, I can't do it. Like, I gotta go. I gotta leave LA. It's just too much. And my mom was like, I got opportunity to work out there and do some good stuff. So my mom left. She got into this field, helping. And she got, by then she was already clean from drugs. Well, my mom was already like, she hadn't had a career yet. My mom was just like finding jobs here and there. She was just struggling, no car. My mom went to Chicago. Now she's a homeowner. She's to her like second or third brand new car. The material stuff. Working, helping people. They love my mom, man, because my mom been there. And my mom was able to show up for us. My struggles, my brother's struggles, my sisters. Like my mom was able to show up for us, later on in life, but my mom came through. I love my mom, man. I always love my mom. I never blamed her for nothing. I just understand. It's hard. It was hard, man. It's hard being a mother, 4 kids, an abusive relationship, drugs, paying for the drugs, whatever she had to do, in her belief system, she was doing. And it wasn't always the right thing. And it's easy to judge now, but you know, I don't validate it or support, selling drugs or anything like doing crime, but because I believe there's a better way, but it is what it is, man. I tell my daughter, like, I apologize. I could have been a better dad. I wasn't. I could have not went to prison, but I did. But that doesn't mean I love you any less. I loved you more. I love you the most in my life.
Now, do you see her having issues in her relationships because you weren't there, or just the history?
Yeah.
Now see that's
You open a can of worms. My daughter is she's 26 now. She has, she has her challenges. She has her struggles. I'm I've met her she's on her second little boyfriend right now since I
her
came
little
back.
boyfriend.
She got a little boyfriend, right? Me and her little kids. She got a little boyfriend. I haven't met him in person, but I've talked to him on a phone. And I try to stay in my role as dad. I'm dad. Like, I'm not her counselor. I'm not her therapist. I'm not. I'm just her dad. But the counselor in me, the life experience in me, like, I want to tell her, like, don't do that. You have to, like, do this. I'm trying to, like, guide her because I don't want her to have to go through same thing as me. I want to give her the insight I gained, but it don't work that way. Not with a daughter and a dad. Not for me and my daughter. My daughter is like, she's totally like, I'm independent. I've been independent. You were gone. Like, I had to do this, dad, and you don't understand. Like, I have to make these decisions, and I have to learn from my own mistakes. And like, she's right, but I think she blocks out a lot of the wisdom I'm trying to pass. She blocks it out intentionally.
She hasn't forgiven you completely. It doesn't sound like.
It's probably that, and she thinks that she has to figure life out on her own. She does, man. I get that part, but like,
but if you can learn from somebody else's mistakes,
it is, right? Yeah,
I mean, it's just a way less drama. Because I was telling somebody, I think I was responding to somebody's TikTok or something. There was an older lady and saying that now all of her friends are in these positions where they're dating these men who, need all this help. And, we're, I guess, in the culture now to where the women have more to offer. The women have their own home. They have their car. They're working. They're not looking for a man to take care of them. But now these men are looking to be taken care of. And so you really have to be mindful of that, because when we were growing up, you had a guy come pick you up at your house. You didn't let him honk the horn and you come out and all of this. Now you can't do that. You have to meet them somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let them know what you have, because they're looking. They're, she's got this. Oh, and they'll try to move in on you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's completely different. And there was all the social media and all that kind of stuff going on too. But, she's being independent. She's going to have to be careful, because someone's going to look at her as being an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And she's a really good girl. She graduated high school. She went and got her AA. She did good. She didn't get into drugs. She didn't get into gangs. She ended up going through CPS too when she was 6. She her mom started getting into drugs, and they removed her. They removed her from home, so she went through that trauma too. So she's quick to let me know that, Dad, I went through it too. I was 6. Like you weren't there, my mom wasn't there. Like I went through. What do you think I went through? You know what was going on with me? And like I'm like, even though she's talking to me that way, I still rather her talk about it. You know, and I'm like, it sucks to have to hear it served that way. Cause I mean, like, why can't we just sit down and talk? Like I tell her, look, I'm not telling you like I'm gonna give you the information and it's gonna solve your problems in life. Like it don't work that way. But like go get therapy. Like go, I want you to talk to the therapist about what you're telling me. And they're not gonna hit you with a wand or give you a magic pill and it's gonna go away. You're just getting it out of your head and out of your heart. Like you, because you're processing it. You're talking. Eventually, you tell that story enough time, and you walk in that room, you can tell it, and it's gonna, you know,
It won't
you
affect you the same way.
yeah, you don't want it to be like every time it comes up, it makes you feel a certain way
Mm-hmm.
or makes all these thoughts come up because that's you're just not dealing with it. You're blocking it out. So no, Dad, that's not the way it is. And I'm like, yes, it is, man. That's like, you know, and sometimes I have to be careful because her coping mechanism is shut me out. So
And usually you can tell, like when you're seeing parents and their children have conversations or they're around each other, you can tell when there's some kind of guilt from the parent side because they allowed the child to just say whatever they say, however they're going to say it, versus if the dynamics were different, the child wouldn't even be coming at you like that. You know, it's like I don't talk to my parents the same way I talk to, you know, my friends or coworkers or whatever. We have a different level of respect. My parents are my friends. You know,
yeah,
I'm the child, and even though I'm a grown woman, I still, you know, have a certain level of respect and the way I speak to my parents. But I don't have that same dynamic. And I see that that's a pattern in parent-child relationships where something went wrong early on and the parent is so guilty that they're like, well, I don't want to say, you know, this because I did wrong. And it's like you haven't forgiven yourself completely either. So it's
and the
like,
resent,
okay, I'll tell her, but let me just be quiet and let her, you know, get off whatever she's going to get off.
yeah. So it's, you know, that's another one of the consequences of my past decision making is me being away. It affected our relationship. Where when I thought it was gonna look like when I came home, it does not look like that. You know, I could call her, she won't even answer my phone. I text her. I'll be lucky if I get a text maybe a week later
Wow.
or so. I'm like, and then when I call her on it, it's like, you're all over me, Dad. Like you're
Mm.
all over me. You're what are you watching me? Or like I work, I got a life. Like I'm trying to, and I'm like, everybody out here works. We all got a life. Like when I start calling her, it's like psh, it just
But I
gets
think
worse.
that's a daddy daughter thing too. Because my dad, I had to tell him, and our relationship is cool. But I mean, you know, it wasn't perfect me growing up, and it seems like now he's just like want to talk to me all the time, and you know, wanted to. But we didn't grow. I didn't grow up like that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? He was kind of like angry when I was younger. So I had to kind of like, I kind of learned to keep my distance a little bit because you didn't know if he was going to be in a mood or whatever. So now that I'm older, I don't live in your house anymore. You know, it's been many years since I lived with my parents. And if I don't call him back, like within a day, he's calling the house phone, he's calling my cell phone, he's texting. I was like, stop doing that because I think something's wrong when you do that. I think
Yeah.
like somebody died or like
Yeah.
somebody's hurt or whatever. It's like, give me a chance. Now, it's not going to be a week, but give me a
Yeah.
chance to respond before you just like blowing me up.
Yeah.
But because we didn't have some, I know some people who talk to their parent every day, and that's just what they do. That's what they've always done. And I didn't grow up like that. So
Yeah.
when it's just like, you're like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah. I missed her so much when I was gone. You know, when I did call out there because the calls were like they're not every day. I can't just call when I want. That when I did call and I got to talk to her, it was like 15 minutes only, and it hangs up. And I was like, man, I can't wait till I can just talk to my daughter or just hang out with her. And like I got a 3-bedroom house, a nice home in a nice area. I was like, I tell my daughter, come and stay with me for a little bit. Like I didn't get to live with you very long. Like I want to live, like I want to have a relationship. I want to get to know you, like on a deeper level. So, no, Dad, you're overbearing, man. You want to know everything I'm doing, where am I at, who am I around, and I'm like, I'll give you your space, you know. Um, but I thought you would want the same or it's
Mm.
something close to it, you know. I thought because I was gone, you'd be like, man, I want to hang out with my dad. Like I want to be with my dad, like see him work, and I want to see him, like I want to hear him talk, and you know, and it's not.
But do you think she's involved in some things she just doesn't want you to know about and thinks she's going to be judged by you, or certain people that she might be entertaining that you'd be like, okay, no, this looks, I know where this is going, and she doesn't want to hear it.
I think she got to the point, I think from all her struggles and what she had to deal with, I think she got to the point where she protects herself by
Mm.
least amount of information people know about me, then they can't hurt me.
Mm. Okay.
If you don't know what's going on, then you can't hurt me. You know, if I could keep you at a distance, you can't hurt me no more. And that don't work. You know,
Right.
long term, that don't work. Those are like immediate solutions, you know, or coping mechanisms
Right.
to, you know, problems like that. But long term, but it, that knowledge can't come from me. That like yeah, I say it. Believe me, I say it. I wrote it. I you know, I do my best of communicating that to her, but you know, it all up to the person receiving it.
Yeah.
Because when I was growing up, I think about all the people that were trying to get me away from the direction I was moving in. I didn't hear it. I wasn't trying to hear it. I didn't listen to it. And it took somebody, a total stranger, to serve it up to me in a whole different way where I was like, for some reason, this resonates. This approach, this person it just resonates with me. Like I could hear this person like giving me some advice, and, you know, showing me some real concern, some genuine, authentic, caring concern for my betterment in life. And I just hope that I just always hope that she gets that person, or if she does have that person, maybe it's coming in increments. You know, maybe, you know, she's 26. You know, I didn't start doing good till I was in my, you know, 31, 32. You know, and she's not doing bad. She's not doing bad, but you know, I think
Just
like
emotionally.
dealing with the hurt, dealing with the pain, dealing with, you know, not being there and all her struggles is like that part is getting put on a back burner. And I tell her like, hey, like usually people carry that into their relationships, right?
You do. I was gonna ask you about, because even, you know, because I'm single, never been married, and I'm noticing now the dynamic with the mommy issues and the daddy issues when it comes to dating. So I don't date guys with mommy issues and daddy issues, because usually if it's the mom, and you don't know that, you know, just from meeting the person, you won't know until you spend enough time around them and see their family and how they interact with the family. That's why I tell people, meet their family as soon as possible, you know, because back in the day, it was like, oh, well, we don't want to meet the mom too soon because then that seems like it's getting too serious. No, you want to meet the family so you can see how they interact, like what's going on over there. Because usually when the guy has issues with the mom, he doesn't trust women.
Mm,
You know, if your mom is the first woman in your life, and
right.
if she either manipulated you emotionally or let you down or treated you like you were more her man than her son and relied on you for everything, you're going to have issues in your relationships, because either the mom's going to be jealous, she's going to try to put a wedge between her son and whoever he's with because that's her man, really. You know, more
Yeah.
than her son, or if she had a habit of manipulating. I had one guy that I dated, his mom always would give him things and then take them away when he didn't do what she wanted him to do. Wow. So he had no trust. So he was very insecure, very jealous. And if you didn't do something he wanted you to do, he would just equate that with, oh, you don't really want to be with me. And he would just be out. And you just wouldn't hear from him anymore. And you're like, what happened? Yeah. But I didn't connect those dots until I found out more about his childhood. Yeah, his history. His history. And most people aren't forthcoming with that. You have to kind of like pull it out, but you don't even know what to ask until you've been in those situations. Like, you know what? How was your childhood? Did you grow up with your mom and dad? You know, if they're talking about one guy met, what was he saying? Oh, the dad, his biological dad, and his mom had an affair. And his dad had been married or was married when he was conceived. So he had, you know, his family and all that. He never really acknowledged him, but he acknowledged, of course, his other kids. And he's like, you know, in one breath, he would say, oh, well, you know, it doesn't bother me. But then in the next breath, he would say, well, I would always wonder why he didn't acknowledge me. And I'm the one that's doing good. And I'm the one that has this. And his other kids aren't blah, blah, blah. But you just said you didn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like you're keeping score. Huh?
Right. It sounds like you cared to me. And he always needed a lot of attention. That's what, you know, something else that I've noticed is that when they don't get what they need at home as kids, they're constantly seeking validation in the wrong places, constantly wanting attention, and it doesn't matter where they get it from. So they're not faithful because it's like, you're not enough. If you're not available every time I need you to be, then I'm over here. Okay, she's busy. Okay, I'm calling this one. And then with social media, you got all kind of access, you know, to all these different people. And, you know, your mind is constantly, because you didn't get what you needed as a child. And they'll try to, they don't acknowledge it a lot of times. They can't even see those dots connecting. It's just like, okay, why is that you always have to have a whole bunch of female friends? You got like 500 Facebook friends and you really only know like 5 of these women in real life.
Yeah.
You know,
back doors open. Huh?
Or that, you know, they never really break up with anybody. It's like, okay, you might stop dating, but you're constantly still checking in with that person, keeping the door open. You know, just that constant need of attention. So yeah, so that I start asking questions real early.
Yeah, man, you sound like a therapist. Sound like we're in group right now.
Man, I'm telling you, but you know, and hopefully your daughter is able to see those things, and you know, even if she's not sharing them with you, but hopefully, you know, does she have kids yet?
No kids.
Okay, that's good. Because
exactly. Yeah.
Because if you're making mistakes and you don't have kids, that's different.
Yeah, she was going to a therapist for a little bit, and then she said they just kind of like ran its course. She said she's like, it just turned into like we were just talking about the same thing every time, and I was like, that's the way it works.
Another one.
You get another one. Yes, you're climbing a ladder. Don't like each step is not going to get you to the top. You know, each one is you're climbing, man. You get what you get out of this one. You get moved to the next one. Like there's just going to be many different helpers in your life, man. Everything that came to me didn't come from one person. You know, so you just gotta be able to recognize all these signs. Like those are just signs. Like, hey, that's a good. If you're around this court, that's a good thing. You learned what you need to learn. Keep pushing, man. Don't get stuck in the line. You know.
And especially if she's feeling like she's still, or does she even acknowledge like when she's shutting down or closing herself off because she doesn't want to be hurt?
Yeah, she's. You know, she don't always want to talk about it. She's like, Dad, you know, like I don't always want to be talking about that. Like it happened. I can't change it. I don't want to go backwards. Like it triggers me. I get triggered, and then I just shut down, and I don't want to be around nobody, and I go to an ugly place, man, and I don't want to do that.
Mm.
Like, I don't want our relationship to be the thing that's pushing me there all the time. Like, just chill, dude. Like that. Just really, like, I'm doing good. I'm good. Like, I'll call you. Like, this is all bad, and I'm like, and I try that, and it's like 1 week, 2 weeks.
Mm.
I get this big old gap, and I'm like, oh hell no, I'm not going out like that. Like,
Plus, I mean, it's right now, people are dying like every day from
yeah,
whether it's COVID or people just crazy. You know, I don't know if you noticed how just crazy people are acting right now. And it seemed like to just escalate
mm,
once COVID hit. It was just like, what is going on?
yeah.
And you don't know when is going to be your last day.
And
You
she's out
know.
of state. She lives out of state, so
Okay.
not like I could just get in the car, go swoop by, and pick her up. It's like, come down, man. I'll buy you a ticket, or you need help buying a plane ticket. Like, I'll pick you up, and she does. She does. She comes down. She comes spend a week with me, or a few days, and goes home. She's like, everything is work. Oh, I work, Dad. I got to work. I can't just get days off and stuff. I'm like, I get days off. I work. Like, we all get days off,
Yeah,
but
I mean, you just got to make it happen and make. I mean, sometimes, to her point, like if my dad calls, because he works for himself, he makes his own schedule. So if I'm working or I'm doing whatever, and he's calling me like in the middle of the day, I'm like, like I'm
yeah,
at work, like I can't.
don't you work?
He's
Yeah.
like, I'm at work, I'll call you back. And sometimes you forget, and you're just like, but I have to really make myself think about, okay, because what really gives me anxiety, because I'm an only child,
Mm,
is my parents not being here because
yeah.
it's just us. So I have to be like, okay, let me call, let me check, let me see how he's doing, let me call him back, because I don't know how long I'm going to have my parents. So
Yeah, I guess we all deal with life, and then we hopefully we change. I live from a whole different belief system, my behavior, my how I approach life, like my thoughts change so much. Like, I'm not that little, like the kid in MacLaren Hall, like teenage years, my young 20s, my 30s, just like it's just different. Sometimes I remind myself, like, this is how she deals with it, or different people. I mean, I work with people every day in group. I teach groups, so I could see the difference in, like, different age groups, different ethnicities, different geographical areas, different, like, there's a lot of differences out there. Like, we have a lot in common, like we always say, but there's a lot of differences. Like, people deal with things in different ways. Some people deal with I did drugs for many years. I did different drugs, experimented, and I always used to say, like, when I was in a drug program in prison, and I was like, I had got to a certain point. I said, it wasn't really the drugs that were the issue. It was the issue that led to the drugs.
mhm.
And once I started working on those issues, the drugs weren't as powerful over me no more. Like, I don't have the desire for that no more. That the desire is not there. And people are like, well, the triggers will always be there. Like, even in school they teach you that. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe if certain things happen, I don't know. I don't know the future, but I know, like, I could tell you about right now, and it's different. I never really dealt with myself until I got in my 30s, in my 40s. Like, I never dealt with me. When I started to deal with me, I was still that 8-year-old boy. Like, I had to go back and deal with 8-year-old Gilbert,
Mhm.
9-year-old, 10-year-old, 13-year-old as a gang member, because everything changed from that point forward. Like, I had to deal with that guy that didn't develop and move those healthy development. Like, I had to go back and figure that stuff out, and that's not like an overnight thing. It's hard. It's hard to deal with that. It's hard to look at that. But today, you call me do a podcast, you call me to go to a school and speak, like I could grab all that stuff out. I could
Mm-hmm.
talk, you know, I could talk about it to whoever, to a stranger. I could talk about it, and I do talk about it every day. So it's like I've normalized the work I've done myself. Where I could talk about it, where I'm not, there's certain days, certain people, certain times where I start talking and I can feel the emotions. And I'm like,
Mm.
that hurts. Like that don't feel good. What I mean by hurt is like there's a loneliness. Like there's certain things with my brother. Like I hear it, I talk about it, and there's a hole, man. There's missing. I like that hurts me. Certain things with my daughters, like that. When I get that resistance, when it's real. It's not like it's easier to like talk about it. I could say this is how it works, but it's like in my head, it's not like A, B, C, D, one.
Mm-hmm.
It's all over the place. It's emotions and thoughts, and it's all this stuff just mixed up, and it's like I have to like put those things in perspective because it throws me off. Like it'll throw me off for a little bit. I'm driving and I'm like my mind is focused on that. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's a couple of days.
Mm.
And I'm trying to like make sense out of things, and I'm trying to use things that people taught me, like what I have to tell myself, like, hey, she's young, she dealt with a lot, like I have to give her time, I have to give her space, I have to stay in dad role, like I have to take advice from others, I have to be humble, I have to be patient, and like that starts getting me back to where I need to be, or back in my lane. But those is challenging. Those are the challenges. I'm not challenged by like, man, I'm on the street. I'm hoping the dope man gets here. Hoping I don't get busted tonight. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
hope I don't have to hurt nobody. I hope I don't get killed today. I hope I don't get beat up by the police. Like that kind of stress is not the stress I have today. My stresses are not. They're nowhere close to that. I'm not in prison cell wondering, damn, am I gonna die right here? Am I ever gonna go home? Um, is somebody gonna like trip on me out, tomorrow when I go
Mm-hmm.
out there? Is somebody gonna like try to make me do something? Like I don't know that, man. That the high possibility is there though. And that's stressful, I remember like count time. If you're not so they announce it on the speaker. Count time, standing count. You got to stand up, turn on your light until the officer looks inside your cell and he sees you, that you're alive, right? And finally, I got to a point I was like, they're doing inventory, bro. That's not a count. They need to know the livestock is alive, right? And making money. But I can't always hear it. I can't. Some days I can hear it. Some days I can't. Most of the time, I don't hear it.
Mm.
Some days it's at 5. Some days it's at 5:05. Some days it's at 5:15. Some days it's at 4:40. So I can't like catch the pattern of every day where I'm like, I'm just gonna have the light on and be standing here because I don't know how long I'm gonna be standing there. So some days I have the earbuds in, or my earphones. Some days I'm painting, I'm escaping where I'm at, or I'm studying. I'll be reading, and if you're not standing with that light on, that baton, they bang it on the metal door hard. Boom, 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 standing count. Man, I used to start them. I would jump out of my skin, and that doesn't. Everything it does to my mind and my body does not go away. Like
Mm-hmm.
a minute later or 5 minutes later, like that turns on some ugly stuff real fast. And when they would do it, and I was like, there was times where I gained some courage and try to be assertive and like, hey man, like that's unnecessary. You don't have to bang on my door, man. Like, please don't do that. And I never met anybody respond. And any healthy, not one time, any request that I ever get a positive response back. It was like, you should have been standing.
Mm.
Announced it.
It's your fault.
Your fault. And it's like, I had to finally get to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to deal with it. And then I would like, don't Like if I engage with somebody, if I'm writing a letter, I'm putting that letter away because it'll come out of my letter. If I'm talking to my Sally, like it's gonna come out. Like everything that I don't like that he does, it's gonna start crossing my mind. I'm like, man, I'm tired of this dude. Like everything he does wrong that bothers me, it just all at the forefront of my mind. And I hated that. I hated that so much. And that's just one thing, but the noise was so ugly in there. It's like boom, boom, the doors closing and the gates. And it used to trigger me so much, man. And I was like, today, I don't hear those noises. The alarm would go off. Doo, 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 doo. For my first probably 10 years, that alarm, it was on. When that alarm went off, it's loud. The cops are on the speaker on a PA system. They're like, get out, get out, get out, get out. There's smoke grenades going off, and they're shooting the gun, the Mini 14, and there's people getting shot. You can hear this yelling, people getting stabbed, and riots. And I'm on the floor, or I'm laying on the floor for 3 hours until they come and scoop the body up, and it's like, they're cuffing everybody up, dragging us, in the rain. It's raining, and we're out there for 4 hours, 5 hours. I've been out there. Central California, it's 108 outside, and there's no grass, and we're out there on the floor in the concrete. And I'm like, hey, man, it's hot. You can't move, you can't talk. So then you get to the lower levels. The alarms are there, but the seriousness is not as serious. So like that stress, and then today it's like that stress is not there.
You
like,
hear birds chirping outside.
I'm hearing birds. The little kids next door, like they're screaming and running up and down. I'm like, shut up already. Yeah, it's weird, but but the recording in my brain didn't go away. My memory can't erase it. So there's certain little things where it's like it reminds me of that. The loud bang, boom. It's like I had to say, oh, that has nothing to do with me. That's not me. That's just a car going by or something. But it's not. I'm not like hyper vigilant, all turned up and like tripping like that. But yeah, that place it affects you like that. And then I think, did this come from prison, or was it a combination of things? And I start thinking back. It's like all the way from home.
Yeah, I was about to say, you have fighting in the house and yelling and banging and
throwing food, and it's just the police coming, and then it's just unsafe, man. And then the street, then it's crazy because all that goes on. You would think you don't want to be from a gang, you don't want to be around the violence, you don't want to do drugs because it was always present. It's a quite opposite. Almost like in a domestic violence relationship, and I wonder why the woman doesn't leave the man. It's probably a lot similar. Why does this guy go and join a gang and go to prison and shoot people? And he don't like that. He's saying he don't like it, but he does it. It makes no sense.
That's how
it makes a lot of sense. Right? We've normalized it. When everything's going right,
you're uncomfortable.
I've told my wife so many times, I'm driving down the street and I'm like something bad is gonna happen. I feel it. She's like, stop saying that. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. Don't wish that. And I'm like, I'm not wishing. I don't want it to happen. But I just feel like too much good is happening right now. Like this can't be true. Like something's gonna be taken right now. I could feel it, man. I feel it in my bones, man. I know. Like something bad's gonna happen. Which I'm gonna get a bad call. I'm losing my job. Like I'm gonna get hurt or something bad's coming. Because every time something good, it came with a bunch of bad. And whenever this bad's happening, I remember saying, well, something good got to come out of it. It's like, yeah, man. And so you're always looking for the good in the bad. And it's like that kind of, those patterns of thoughts, and the beliefs, it's like, it's just there. It just doesn't, it doesn't erase. I wish I could erase it, but it don't work that way. But yeah, those are some of the challenges. Those are some of the things today
Yeah, you gotta manifest, try to manifest the what you really want and not what you don't want, because what we don't want will happen if we keep thinking it, speaking it, especially when you speak things. So it's not wishing it, but when you put that out into the air, to the universe,
Yeah,
it's gonna come. If you keep saying it's gonna come.
definitely. Yeah, yeah.
But
It's
how can people get in touch with you to, if they want you to come and speak at a school or mentor a program or a group, whether it be kids or adults, how do people get in touch with you?
I could leave my email. That's probably the best way. It's my last name, first name. So my last name is Bao, and then my first name is Gilbert 73, my birthday, at gmail.com. I'm definitely, I'm always willing to go into the schools. Anything for kids, I'll take a day off from work. I love going in. I love working with kids. Prevention work. Too much money is spent on punishment. Not enough in rehabilitation, and almost criminal in prevention. The way society deals with. So I like operating in that space. So if you email me, let me know what you want to do, and whether it's with kids or whatever, if you need help or just want to talk to somebody about something that you may be going through, or maybe somebody you know is incarcerated, or your loved ones in there, you're not too sure, because there's how do you look that up? How do you know that unless somebody that's been there can walk you through it? And that's what we do. We look out for each other. There's like I'm doing a tattoo removal right now. I'm getting all the gang stuff on.
Mm.
And we get it done for free. Through Homebase Industries in LA, and that's a major resource down there. But like I'm plugged in with them, with ARC, Anti-Recidivism Coalition, and a lot of those guys, they're formerly incarcerated. Somebody gave them a chance, and they're creating chances for many people behind them. So they asked me, "Oh, you guys are lucky you get that," and I'm like, "We had to create that. You know why you go down there, we get a job. Like they'll hook you up, they'll get you a job. You want to work, you call them, they'll get you a job. That's what I'm like, but in the 80s and the 90s, probably early 2000s, like nobody would hire us.
Yeah.
You got a
And
tattoo, you're a gang member, you're Mexican, you're black. Like you're going to work in the service sector if you're lucky. And you're going to get treated like you're lucky you got a job. So these kind of programs were created for us because coming home from incarceration, you're going to feel discrimination. Going to get a job, you're going to feel discrimination. Walking in a DMV, you get treated different. You go sign up for school and you don't know where to go, and you're having to ask questions, and people look at you like you're crazy.
now, did the applications? Because I remember at one time, the box was supposed to be removed. Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
So that box is gone, but
Mm-hmm.
the concept of the box is still there, because they can't ask you if you have a felony, but most jobs say, go do a fingerprint background check. You might as well just put the box back on there then, right? And there's a lot of explaining. I've had to do so much explaining because my life doesn't make sense. I go to a job interview and they start asking me like my job history, and I got this big gap. Now I talk about all the jobs I had in prison, but even those, when they ask me, well, what about this? There's certain questions, and I can tell the body language, especially formerly incarcerated. We pick you if you don't pick up on body language and learn that skill very well, you're going to be a victim. So sitting in there is like I could pick up. I could see when the body language, the tone, the inflections start changing, and I'm like, this interview is going to be bad. And I try my best to not have to tell everybody my story just to get a job or just to get a bank account or go, buy a car or something. It's like I have to go explain myself to get these things. Because if I don't, and I sit there and they start looking at me, they're like, "You don't have a? Do you have a check stub?" And I'm like, "Well, I was incarcerated. While I was incarcerated, this is what I did. I have to like overcompensate
Yeah.
something negative by all the positive things I did. And for the most part, it actually has worked in my favor. So, yeah, I shouldn't have to explain myself, but I find myself 90% of the time having to.
Even with your counseling work that you do now, do you still have to do that?
Yeah. So for the prison,
Mm-hmm.
that one, I still had to go there and explain a lot of explaining why I wanted the job, but I got that job because of my background. And so that was a good thing. But all the jobs before it that I had two other jobs before this one since I came home. And once they found out, they were like, "You're the perfect fit here." And I do very well in in all my jobs I got. But I had to gain trust. I had to earn trust. I had to like explain a lot. I went at the crisis unit. I got the job. They loved the interview. They were like, "Damn, they love this interview. Go do a background check." I had to go fingerprint. And I said, "All right." So I went to fingerprint. I went in and looked it up. It says they're not supposed to, from 7 years to 10 years, go anything past. My crimes were like 24 years ago. And they all popped up. I got an email saying, "We're sorry. We have to pull back the offer. You didn't clear the screening."
Mm.
I said, "All right, well, you guys lost a very good employee because your talent, you're denying me for something that is actually my gift."
Mm.
And they were like, "We're sorry." And that job, I think it was like maybe 2 weeks around there. I get a call saying somebody higher up found out and overrode it, and if you still want the job, the offer's back on the table. I get the job. I'm working with psych techs, nurses, all these people, social workers. And after a couple months, I'm the go-to guy now.
Mm.
"Hey, Gilbert, we got a kid outside, like they're not listening, they don't want to be here, they're resisting, they're throwing stuff, like we don't know what to do. But he has to get evaluated at the school center. Let me go talk to him." I go out there and I don't take the clipboard, I don't take the assessment. I go out there like, "What's up, man? High five, what's going on, man? Who's your team?" I'm like, "You better not tell me you don't like the
You're just
Dodgers."
talking.
Yeah, I just go out there and I start talking about everything besides what they were asking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you better like the Lakers, man. Don't even tell me you don't like the Lakers. And that, I get them laughing, and I'm doing little things with them. And before you know it, I can see the guard comes down, and I'm like, "Hey, why don't you come over here with me, man? I'm gonna hang out with you today. Okay? We go over here. You hungry? I'll go get you pizza. I'll be right back. Let me go get the pizza. Don't even trip. I got you." We get the pizza, and I'm sitting down. I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna fill out some paperwork right now. I need you to, I need you to answer a couple of questions. You do that for me?" "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then once I get them, a little bit open, I will call whoever needs to go do that, and I'm like, "Look, go in there, and if you see any resistance, I'll ask the question. Let me jump in. I'll jump in when I need to, but don't confront, don't question nothing they do. If you see me get in and do something, and it's not in the perimeters of what we do here, like if you can't handle that, then don't call me in there. But I'm gonna do stuff that's not in the book and I'm not supposed to do sometimes. Just leave me alone. I'm not gonna do nothing illegal." And I go out there and I do my thing, and then they walk out and they're like, "We're good. You're this again. You're coming in here." So much goes on in a crisis unit. There's so much that goes on, but I've eventually got to the point where now I'm training all my supervisors. I'm training them. "Hey, Gilbert, can you train this person?" I'm like, "That's my supervisor. Like this shouldn't be happening. Like this is going to cause other issues down the line for the supervisor. I could recognize my role, but as long as they can," and they're like, "Nah, don't worry about it." You know, so I'm training people that are like supposed to, you know, they got a master's degree, they got a PhD. I'm like, and I don't mind doing it because I'm like, I'm gonna show you a different way that your book didn't show you.
Right. A practical.
Yeah, more practical. I tell them, look, I got the book part. I just kind of go around sometimes when I need to, and I do that from life experience. Yes, I know HIPAA, I know all of this stuff. I'm gonna follow all the guidelines. I'm not gonna get you in trouble. I just have to do things a little bit different. We're dealing with a different population. And unless you've been there, you don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I've been, because a lot of the kids we get, they're coming with, you know, CPS, or social workers, whoever it is. We're getting kids that are, you know, they're in school, they're telling them, I want to hurt myself. And then they're like, oh my God, you know, send them to the crisis unit. And then they're just like, I don't know, I'm just having thoughts. Well, what do you have? I don't know, I'm just having thoughts, man. I don't want to talk about it.
Mm.
You know, and they're like, yo, but they don't want to tell us what it is. Like, we can't get a thorough assessment. And I'm like, I got you, don't trip. And I go in there and I do my thing, and we're able to get that information. We're able to get them help, you know, without me violating trust. You know, and it's not just kids; it's adults. But and they're like, yo, we're like, what are you doing? What are you like? I don't understand. What? How come it doesn't work for me? And I'm all, have you ever been in the back of a cop car taken to MacLaren Hall? Have you ever been to an orphanage? Have you ever been questioned by at least 5 or more social workers when you were a kid? Like, have you ever been in a therapy session and you don't know what's going on? No. Well, there's some knowledge right there when somebody has, they've done the work, went to school, and then came back. That's where I'm at. I don't know everything. You probably know way more than me. But when it comes to dealing with this population that we're working with, like, I'm going to connect with them a lot faster than you can. Now, once you recognize that as that's my strength, that's not your strength, I also recognize your strengths. You can make stuff happen with that pin or hitting those buttons that I can't do. So when I walk in your office and I say, hey, this person needs this, Gilbert, I'm like, dude, that's what he needs. That's what they're here for.
Mm-hmm.
You make it happen or not? Yeah, I'll do it this time. You know, I'm like, you know, they get them,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I can't do it. If I could do it, I wouldn't be in your office. Like, I know you can do it. You have those little letters next to your name. I don't.
Right.
And you know, that's a game changer. So my director is like, when I left the crowd, I still work there. I was there yesterday. I go on there. I'm on call, so I could go on there
Okay.
pick my schedule. But you know, I work full time at the prison. Man, they begged me not to leave. You know, they were like, please, Gilbert, don't leave. Like, so much has changed. I went there yesterday, and I worked AM shift. That's the hardest shift. It's the hardest because it's the most influx of people that go through there.
Mm.
And when I worked there, they now have double the amount of employees doing less work. So their numbers right now, how many people they process in and process out. I did it with one clinician, one psych, one nurse, me, and a peer support coach. There was 5 of us on my team, and if somebody called off, it was 4 of us. So the amount of people that we did and the quality of work, we did it with that team. They can't keep up, so they just been hiring more people, and right now their overhead is bad. So they have like 2 clinicians, 2 nurses, 2 peers, and now they have interns there. So I'm like, I went yesterday, I was like, you guys got all these people and these are your numbers? Like, what's going on in here? And the director told me, Gilbert, they just don't want to work. Like,
so they're getting paid to not work.
They slow drag everything. So people come for services, they if 20 people showed up at the door, I'm gonna get all 20 in. They're coming in.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring you. You're gonna sit in this office. You sit over here. Grab the nurse. Hey, I'm gonna knock this one down. You come in because we're doing the intakes. I'm gonna go in there. And we're gonna jump around. And at lunch, I'll go. And then 15 minutes after me, you go. and we're gonna rotate. So we had it down where we're always on the floor. We're answering the front door. Plus the police department, they bring a lot of people, probation, um, the different institutions bring people to us. So like we have to answer the door. It's a 24 hours, it's 24/7. They don't know, like there's no quota like you have to do 20 people. So if you do 10, you're like, we were busy. You brought it 10. It's like, I know, but everybody has, some people require more time, so it's hard to measure. It's like this person wouldn't give us answers, they were homeless, they could barely talk. So I was in there for like an hour trying to do this assessment. And I'm like, no, I could do that in like 15 minutes with somebody that could barely talk. Like, yeah, you incentive, man. Hey, I'm gonna hook you up with a shower right now. I'm gonna get you some brand new clothes. You want some shoes? Yeah, I'll be right back. Boom, here's some new shoes. Oh man, these fit, these are nice, you know. Hey.
And see, I wouldn't know to do that. You know what I mean? Like if all I have is the book knowledge and okay, here's A through Z, what you're supposed to do for an intake,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be thinking about bargaining,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever the other strategies are if all I have is book knowledge, you know. So that's kind of the bad thing about that. But when you're hiring, they're looking at book knowledge and maybe some experience in that industry, but not that practical.
No, it's hard to measure. It's hard to measure unless somebody knows how to speak on it. You know, they got to go in there and sell themselves. And I teach that to the guys in the prison. I'm like, bro, the hustle is the same thing as the street. It's the same thing, bro. Like your hustle when you was slanging dope, when you was running with, when you was trying to make your name on the street, it's the same thing in here. All you're doing is you're doing it within the legal parameters. You find a way to sell your gift. If you're good at speaking and you're good at working with people, then go in there and tell them how good you are and find all those little things. And you have to have the narrative for it. And you know, it's hard to believe it until you see it. You know, so I give them examples and I'm like, this is how I did it. This is what works, you know, and I figured out what don't work. And then one day I think this works good and I go try it and people are looking at me like, this is, you know, he's running game on us right now. So, yeah, everything ain't gonna work, man. Everything will stick. But if you you know, you grab those skills, man, grab those skills and you work with what you got. People that come from where we come from, man, you gotta grab all that tragic stuff that happened in our lives and you gotta make it work for you in your life as you move forward. Those that figure that out, you know, they have some forms of success. Those that can't, you know, they're still in those stages of struggling, trying to figure that out. Hopefully, we always hope that they make it, you know, because nobody's gonna fly in with a cape and save you, man. It's just, you know, that's fantasy, man. That's Superman. It don't exist.
Well, I want to thank you for talking to me and taking part of your Sunday. I'm gonna let you go enjoy the rest of your weekend before we start this all over tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you know, so your email address, give it to us one more time. So if anybody wants to reach out.
It's BAOGILBERT73 @gmail.com.
Okay, cool.
And I appreciate you too. Thank you for, you know, I feel like I got something out. It's kind of like a little therapy session.
Oh, I'm glad I was able to.
Yeah. No, real talk. I appreciate the work you're doing to bring awareness to something so tragic that a lot of people don't understand outside of those that went through those experiences. And we need that. We need the exposure. We need the accountability, and we need healing.
Yeah.
And part of the healing is what you're doing. You're talking about it. Thank you.